When you spend $109 on the BLU G50 Mega, what are you getting for your money? Well, in this video, we're gonna find out. What's going on, guys? Khalipa's Tech here, coming back at you with another video. In this video, we're gonna be talking about the BLU G50 Mega and going over what kind of value you get out of it for your money. Before we go any further though, I do wanna remind you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. So this phone has a 6.5-inch IPS LCD display with a resolution of 720p, a PPI of 270, and an aspect ratio of 20:9. We got a water drop notch up here for the front-facing camera, and this camera is 8 megapixels. I'm not a huge fan of the water drop notch, but compared to some others, this one isn't too bad, but all the same, I do think it would have been a lot cleaner if it had a hole punch camera instead. Overall, I do think the display does look pretty decent. Not really anything special, but for its price range, it's about average. Definitely gonna be okay for stuff like video streaming, reading, all that sort of thing, because the screen is pretty large. And despite having a decently large display, it's really not that bulky. It has a decently thin design, so it's not gonna be uncomfortable to carry around in your pocket or to hold in your hand while you're actually using the phone. This phone has 32 gigabytes of internal storage with microSD card expansion. For the price range, it's not bad. I have seen several phones in this same price range with as little as 16 gigabytes. So really, 32 in the context of this price range isn't bad for the average user. As long as you watch what you're putting on your phone, you're gonna have plenty of space. And if you have lots of photos and videos, you can always use the microSD card to expand this a little bit more. But if you're a power user, if you have lots of apps and that's mostly what you take up your space with, you might want to think about looking at a different device, because 32 gigabytes, even though it's not bad for the average user, if you have a ton of things you're always putting on your phone, you're probably gonna want a little bit more. There's no wireless charging with this phone, which is not very surprising since it is an entry-level phone after all, but we do have a fingerprint scanner right here on the back, and we have face unlock, so that's nice that this phone has both of them. Lots of phones in this price range only have one, and some of them don't have either, and in that case you're stuck with putting in a pin or something like that, which is not ideal in this day and age. So it's actually pretty nice that this phone has both security options. We're gonna go ahead and give this fingerprint scanner a try and see how it works. There we go, one more time. And there we go. The fingerprint scanner was really fast and responsive, no issues here. For the rear camera setup, this phone has a 12 megapixel rear camera and a 12 megapixel depth sensing camera. This phone's gonna be able to take some decent quality pictures. Now they're not gonna be anywhere near the level of a higher end phone, and there aren't very many special features. We have a depth sensing camera that's really good, and we get portrait mode, but you're not gonna have an ultra wide camera obviously, or a macro camera or anything like that. So if you're a more casual user of the camera and you only take a few pictures here and there, maybe for social media or something like that, then this phone's gonna be perfectly fine. But if you're a more frequent user of the camera who uses more advanced features like an ultra wide camera, then you're gonna wanna look at a different device that has more features for the camera setup. For video, this phone can shoot 1080p in the rear and 720p in the front camera. So again, the same principle applies. If you're only shooting videos casually, maybe for Snapchat or something where the quality doesn't really matter a whole lot, then you're gonna be perfectly fine. But if you wanna actually keep these videos and use them for something, then you're most likely gonna wanna look at a different device, because not only is the video quality itself on the lower side, but the microphone for this phone isn't really the best, so the audio quality is probably gonna be pretty bad too. Internally, this phone is getting 2 gigabytes of RAM with the Unisoc SC9863A processor. I ran a Geekbench 5 benchmark test on the phone, and it came back with a single core score of 153 and a multi-core score of 774. So not bad, but also not great. I would say that this range is gonna be good for basic activities, like if you're sending text messages, making calls, browsing the web, maybe some light social media use. but nothing really more advanced than that, because this processor is really not that strong. It's really a phone meant for more basic activities, and while it's not that high, it's also a lot more powerful than a good number of entry-level phones I've seen. So if that's really your range of activities that you're going to be doing, then I would say this processor is going to be okay for you. I personally haven't had any performance issues as I've been using this phone, so what I would recommend is running a Geekbench 5 benchmark test on your current phone and comparing it to this to see if there's a difference. This phone also has a decent battery with a 4000 milliamp hour battery supporting 10 watt fast charging. It's not the biggest battery out there, but it's far from the smallest. To put this into perspective, the iPhone 12 has just over a 2800 milliamp hour battery, so this phone's battery is quite a bit bigger. So I would say if battery life is among your priorities, but not necessarily at the very top, then this phone is a great option. And the fast charging doesn't hurt either. Being able to charge your phone a lot more in a shorter period of time always helps, no matter what your lifestyle is like. One thing about this phone to keep in mind is that it does have Android 10, and I don't think it's ever going to be getting any type of update. So if you want the newest versions of Android as they come out, this is not going to be the device for you. We're currently on Android 11, of course, getting close to Android 12 as of the time this video is being recorded. So Android 10 is an old software and it's just getting older. So if you do want a newer software, again, this is not going to be the device for you. That being said, Android 10 does run really well on this phone, and I think it does work really nicely. So in conclusion, when you buy the BLU G50 Mega, what kind of value are you really getting? I would say this phone provides a decent amount of value if you're looking for something that can do more basic activities. The thing about this phone is there's nothing it's really great at. I wouldn't say it's really that great for taking pictures. It's really not good at all for taking videos. When you're consuming content like streaming videos, playing games, reading, viewing photos, that sort of thing, it's not bad. It doesn't have anything like a Super AMOLED display or a higher refresh rate or anything like that that's gonna really improve your experience over the average phone, but pretty much no phone in this price range is gonna have any of that. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily worse than anything in this price range. Again, it's just about average in that department. So if you're just consuming content and doing more regular activities, like sending text messages and making calls, browsing the web, that sort of thing, it's gonna be fine for that. The battery is decently good. It's not quite at the top, but it definitely is gonna give you a good amount of life both throughout the day and down the road in terms of longevity. So overall, if you're looking for an all-around decent phone for more basic activities in the entry-level range, then this phone is gonna provide a decent amount of value, but I wouldn't say it's a crazy deal or anything like that because it doesn't have any features that really stand out to me. It's basically gonna be equal to, if not a little bit better or a little bit worse than any other phone around this price range. But I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you found this information useful as well. If you happen to be watching this video after you bought the phone, definitely check out my tips and tricks guide as well as my beginner's guide for this phone on the channel. But that's it for this video. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe. It helps out the channel a lot. But as always, I will see you in the next one.